So I kind of wanted to get into this in like a more almost like a more philosophical way, like pulling from basically like the playbook of Chris Hedges and like this Chris Hedges school of thought. Like, why do you think it is that people engage in cancel culture pylons, and does it appear that there's like a certain classification of people that are engaging in it? And obviously we're talking about, you know, the elite left for sure. You know, the right does it too, but they kind of do it. I honestly, I think they do it in response to the left because it seems to be like a useful tool for the left. So they're like, well, you know, it's working for you. We'll do whenever it's, you know, it satisfies us, even though it runs completely, you know, counter to most of the points that we make. But what I guess what I'm saying is, why do you think, you know, why do you think it is that, what do you think is like the underlying cause that people are engaging in this?
Well, I think, and I talk about this in my book, and I do quote Hedges on this because Hedges has been writing about this for some time. And I agree with him that one of the factors is that cancel culture is the politics of despair. Okay. It is the politics of fatalism. It is done by people who consciously or unconsciously have given up on real social change. They feel like I'm not going to change the world. I'm not going to get Medicare for all for people. And again, not because I don't want to, but I don't know how to. I can't, it's very hard to organize. This is a giant country, right? With a very powerful government, a very powerful military, a very powerful police force. It is hard to make profound social change. So, in the absence of that, I think a lot of people are like, okay, I can't do that. I just can't. Even though I'd want to, I can't. I don't know how. So my activism is going to be sitting here at my computer and attacking people online because they misstep or misspeak. I think that's largely what this is about. This is a phony type of activism which gives people an endorphin rush, which makes people feel self-righteous, which makes people feel like they're activists and doing something when they're doing nothing except harassing people, most of whom don't deserve to be harassed. You know, most of whom, if they do say something that might be, a shade off in terms of politics, might be called on the phone and said, hey, you may want to rethink that, right? No, it's gotcha, right? And some people deny that this is happening. We know this is happening. We know, you know, and I give many examples in the book, crazy things where this professor appeared to have fallen asleep during a Zoom call on racial diversity, and students called for her to be fired for falling asleep.
Right.
You know,
As those Zoom calls are super compelling.
they're
You know what I
super
mean? Like,
compelling.
if it's the most engaging way, you know?
None of us would fall asleep on a Zoom call. I mean, this is craziness. And again, what I go back to, I do think a lot of this is the culture, the politics of despair. I also think that, again, it has a logic of its own where people, I don't know if cancel culture is the best term. And of course, I wrote a whole book using that term, but that's what it's called. But it is a culture. It is
Yeah.
a culture that's been created in which people are patted on the back for piling on against an individual. It has this kind of witch hunt quality, as well described in Arthur Miller's book. Remind me of the name. The one on the witch trials, The Crucible.
The Crucible. Yeah.
And it has that feel like she's a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. Because if I don't say she's a witch, they're going to think I'm a witch.
Right.
And that's exactly what's happening.
Going along to get along, basically.
Going along to get along, right? One, because I will be supported if I pile on, and two, if I don't pile on, or worse, if I defend this person, I'm going to be canceled too, right?
Right.
And I think that's a big thing. That I think the cancel culture works because people are coerced into silence.
And it's a tough position to be. Say you can spot the flaw, right? You see the cancel culture, you see the pylon, happening, and then you stick your neck out. But if you don't have any sort of lever of power, if you don't have any sort of leverage and network behind you of support that will back you up because you pointed out something that probably should be obvious to everybody, that's it for you too. You're now out.
That's absolutely right, and we see this all the time. Um, and I think if anything comes away from my book, it's you know one has to understand the need to defend people who deserve to be defended. And if you are sitting around seeing someone attacked who you think is unjustly attacked, you may even be a friend or a colleague, you have to stand up for those people.